why are these doctors on probation and not having their license either suspended or revoked? You know, when we put ourselves in a doctor's hands under the knife or just in his or her care, there is a requirement that I think that most of us take as a given, as a fundamental, and that is that that doctor will do no harm. That is the Hippocratic Oath, as I understand it. But here you have doctors who have clearly violated that Hippocratic Oath, and in many instances in ways that are arguably criminal. Sexual assault of a patient who's under anesthesia and surgery, or sexual gratification for oneself while providing an examination for a patient. Why are these people even practicing medicine? And what I sense when I hear the CMA talking is that these are just sort of minor offenses, and gosh, we should let them continue to practice. And yet the argument is that these people are 30% more likely to continue their egregious behavior. And so the question comes to who's protecting the patient? Now, I just happen to have in my family, my husband just underwent some surgery, and I did a little research on the doctor, but I didn't think to go to the California Medical Board site to get that information. I got it through some other sites, and now I'm wondering, well, fortunately, everything turned out well, but I didn't have all the information. How am I, as someone who is an attorney and who has practiced law for decades and is now a state legislator, how am I supposed to know where all this information is kept? Next time, you can be sure I'll go to the California Medical Board website, but I'm not so totally impressed by the work that's being done by the medical board. Should we let the medical board be the arbiter of who we decide to go to see for medical care? Why don't we give the patient that opportunity as well? I mean, that's the question that came up as I've been listening to this conversation here. They're still allowed to practice medicine. And I understand and respect that as the representatives for the CMA, your job is to represent your client, who's your physician, who are the physicians. But physicians who are on probation are usually on probation for egregious behavior. And the fact that patients aren't being given a choice whether or not to continue or to start with that physician, and frankly, whether they're a therapist, that to me is even more egregious. You're putting your hands and your life and your most personal of conditions into the hands of someone who may be a molester, or who may be someone who's got serious problems that aren't necessarily appropriate for treating the conditions for which you have put your faith and confidence in that particular provider. So I'm kind of a little disappointed, frankly, because I have nothing but the highest regard for the profession, whether it's OBGYNs, whether it's primary care physicians, psychiatrists, that we're not looking out for the best interests of the patient here.
This legislature that has charged the medical board with the protection of patients by
excuse me, but we don't necessarily relinquish all our authority to any board of any kind if we don't feel that they necessarily should be given 100% responsibility. They get their power and their authority from us. I did want to just say, with respect to the medical board, I think they have to do their job. I think part of the problem is that there's some real question. They have to be a lot more. We're putting a lot of trust and confidence in the medical board to do its job, and I hope that they will do so. I've so far not been overwhelmed, especially listening to the testimony of these people today. The board has to be much more aggressive and work with the medical association, and certainly everyone's entitled to their due process. But remember, the goal is to do no harm. And with that, I will move the bill.